it's our gentle flow today, all focusing on alignment. Now, remember that alignment is different in my body than it is in your body, so I will be giving cues, but just notice how it does feel. There's a couple of things that are important, but I'll cue those throughout. Blocks are going to be super helpful because we always want to keep our chest nice and open rather than rounding those shoulders, so especially in any poses where we want to keep that chest up, the blocks are going to be helpful. So especially when you feel like the ground is a little bit too far away. So grab blocks or big books or even 2 kitchen rolls, something like that, just to get the ground a little bit closer to you. So really nice gentle flow, just move, breathe. Okay, have fun. Today we're going to start off in our child's pose. So take the knees out wide, toes together. Start to walk the hands all the way down, forehead down, sinking the hips down to the heels. Breathing here. Feeling that belly expanding on the inhale and coming back on the exhale. Don't hold your stomach at all here, let it feel really soft. Taking that breath all the way to the back and the sides of the ribs now, first feeling those expand out towards the sides of your mat. And feeling the chest rising up to the ceiling. Slowly starting to take our hands all the way over to the left, stretching down that right side of the body. Keeping that hip square, taking that right hip back down to your heels. It might start to lift off. Feel that breath still expanding through the whole of that torso. Walking all the way over to the other side with those hands. Stretching down the left side of the body. Making sure that left hip is still grounded. You can use your inhales to reach those hands further forward and your exhales to walk them further over to the side. Inhale super slowly, hands all the way back to the front. Walking our hands in towards our body, placing them behind us, fingers still facing forward. Really slow, baby camel. So inhale, squeeze the glutes together, enough that starts to lift your pelvis off, drawing those shoulder blades towards one another, shoulders towards one another, pushing the energy into the mat. Keeping that chin ever so slightly tucked. Come all the way down, exhale. Inhale, push all the way back up again, really using those glutes, feeling that stretch down the front of your thighs. Exhale all the way down. One more time, big inhale, come all the way up, expanding through that chest. Exhale slowly all the way down. Walking these hands forward now, Coming into your all fours, so this is where we need to think about the alignment. Bone on bone is the strongest place for us to be balanced for our weight bearing poses. So where we've got our wrists and our shoulders in line, that is going to be the strongest for us. And where we've got our knees and our hips in line. Hands are shoulders width apart, knees and hips width apart. Our fingers are spread really, really widely. And you'll hear me talk about the L's of the fingers, so the thumb and the index finger. A lot of the time you'll start to take the weight down to the little finger side, but we want to make sure it's grounded through all of the areas of the hand. So really think about grounding through the L's of the fingers. Push the mat away, so you're almost separating your shoulder blades here, and that core is firing. So that area underneath your belly button, you're thinking about pulling that towards your spine. Coming into our cat-cow, so big inhale, you drop the pelvis, so you're sticking your bum out. Take the gaze up into your cow, pulling these shoulder blades back towards one another. Big exhale, tuck the pelvis, draw the belly button up to the spine, tuck the chin to the chest. Push the mat away. Inhale, cow, drop that pelvis, gaze up. Exhale, cat. One more time, big inhale all the way up. And exhale all the way back. Coming back to your all fours, really slowly picking this right leg up, walking these hands forward, right leg all the way through. Now you may need to give that foot a little bit of a helping hand. Grab your blocks or whatever you're using. Place them both sides of this right foot. Again, knee and ankle in line, that's bone on bone. But remember, you can have your knee over your ankle. It just means your quads need to work a little bit harder to keep that joint stable. So it's okay, but we like to try and be efficient with our movements here. Hands onto those blocks so we keep nice and upright. If you didn't have your hands on your blocks and you're like this, you're just collapsing everything and you're not strengthening the muscles around the rotator cuffs, so around the back of our shoulders. And a lot of the times when we're sitting down, we exaggerate this movement, so we really want to work to opening and strengthening all of those muscles. Sinking down through the left hip flexor, so you could always walk that left knee slightly further back to get a deeper stretch if you want. And remembering to breathe. Final big inhale here. Exhale, taking the block now onto the lowest setting or assessing where you are. Placing the left hand onto it, fingers spread nice and widely. Big inhale, reach the right hand all the way up. Still sinking the left hip down. Thinking about this right rib cage spinning around, the left rib cage spinning around to the right. Drawing those shoulders towards one another. Keeping that chest nice and open. Taking that hand all the way back. All the way up and over to the front. All the way up and back, just starting to work on that shoulder mobility. All the way forward. And back. And forward. Keeping it forward, grabbing both blocks again. Starting to take the weight all the way back now, flexing through the right foot, starting to straighten it up, but absolutely you can keep a micro bend in your knee. Taking the weight back, stretching through that hamstring, flexing the toes, gazing towards the toes. So when we gaze towards our toes, we keep that chest open, whereas if you were gazing towards your shin, you're going to start to round that back. Thinking about this hip, so this right hip, put your finger in the hip crease and pull it back so it's in line with your left hip. Because at the moment, my right hip is lifted, I can feel that my hips are diagonal. As soon as I start to pull this right hip back and place my hands back on my hips again, they're in line, so they're square. So you'll hear that cue quite a lot. Make sure your hips are square. That means the front hip bones are facing in the same direction. Final big inhale. And exhale, walk the feet forward again so that weight is forward. Coming into that low lunge again. Maybe you can sink that hip flexor further down this time. Inhale, slowly take that right foot straight back, switching over to the other side. Left foot all the way forward. Maybe you need to give it a helping hand, and that's absolutely fine. Knee and ankle in line. Maybe taking that right leg slightly further back so you can stretch through that right hip flexor, sinking it down to the ground, keeping nice and open. Breathing here, remembering to smile. Assessing where you want to place that block for your easy twist. Planting your right hand down, big inhale, left hand up to the sky. Push the mat away, push the block away. With that right hand, reaching that left hand up high, gazing towards that hand. Spinning the right rib cage round to the left. Still sinking that hip flexor down. Flossing that shoulder, taking that hand all the way back, all the way up and over to the front. And back. And front. And back. And front. One more time, all the way back. And keep it at the front, grabbing both blocks, starting to straighten through that left foot. Flexing the foot, making sure the hips square, taking that thumb to that hip crease. Remembering you can absolutely keep a bend in that knee. Maybe you take the blocks down to a lower level to start to sink that chest further down, but remembering to lead with the chest rather than the shoulders. Breathing here. Final big inhale. Exhale, walk the weight back forward. Take that left leg all the way back to meet the right. Back into your all fours. Now this time you may want to keep a block close by, walking our hands all the way forward, coming into a puppy stretch. So you're keeping your knees and hips in line. There's a tendency to take those hips further forward. And then you're sinking that chest down. Now maybe you want to place a block underneath that forehead. And you can still feel that chest sinking down, opening up through those shoulders. Keeping the chest sinking and keep those hips high. Keeping the hips in line with the knees. Remembering to breathe here, it might feel a little bit restricted, so take that breath through the sides and back of the ribs. Come back up, take the hands underneath the shoulders, take this right leg straight out to the side so that your heel and your knee are in line and the whole foot is grounded to the mat or to the floor. Come all the way up, so you're now upright, making sure that that hip, the knee and the heel are in line. Hands all the way out to the side. Big inhale, you're taking this right hand to the outside of the right leg, left hand up and over, stretching through that left side of the body. Exhale, you're taking your left hand all the way down to the ground, right hand up to the sky in your modified side plank. Now make sure you're still thinking about that energy drawing down that right leg so you can take the outside edge of the foot into the ground. Squeezing those shoulder blades together. Maybe you lift off the right leg to about hip height, working that glute. Keeping this hip square so you're not rolling in, you're keeping nice and open, a nice long line. Inhale all the way up, gate pose, taking that left hand up and over, right hand to right leg. Exhale, left hand down, right arm up, side plank, maybe you lift off this leg. One more time, all the way up and over. And one more time into that side plank. Coming all the way down into your all fours, switching over to the other side, left leg out to the side, making sure that heel and the knee are in line, coming all the way up, hands out to the side. Inhale, left hand to the left leg, right hand up and over, stretching through that right side. Exhale, modified side plank, taking that right hand down, left hand up, making sure you've got a nice long line. Inhale all the way up again, trying to feel that core doing the work. Exhale and down. Maybe you lift off this left leg, keeping that toe flex, keeping that glute engaged. Inhale all the way up, one more time. And down. Breathing here. Coming all the way back into your all fours, sinking down to the ground, all the way down, forehead down. Taking the hands underneath the shoulders, making sure your elbows are straight back and you're almost hugging your biceps into your chest. The toes are flat so they're not tucked. Big inhale, come into your cobra, so you're taking your gaze just in front of your mat, your chest is lifting off the ground, you're pulling your shoulder blades together. Exhale, head all the way down. Big inhale, take that forehead off, chest off. Use those back muscles, really push the pelvis into the ground. Now take your hands off so that you can make sure that you are using all of that effort from the back rather than the hands. Exhale all the way down. One more time, big inhale as high as you can go, take the hands up. Grounding through that pelvis. Final inhale. Exhale all the way down. Hands under the shoulders. Pushing super slowly up to your all fours, making sure the biceps are hugging into your chest. Tucking the toes, taking the hands all the way back. If it's comfortable for you, rolling over the toes onto the feet. Taking the feet just over hips width apart so we're now at the back of the mat. Hanging that head in our ragdoll so our knees are bent as much as they need to for our chest to rest onto our thighs. Now this is what we want for the whole of our practice, and I will tell you all the time, you will get sick of me saying bend your knees so that your chest rests on there. We don't want to straighten the legs when we can't have that connection. Take the opposite elbows with the hands, the ragdoll, swaying from side to side, nodding, shaking your head. Releasing any tension. Allowing those hamstrings to warm up nice and gently. And stretching through that back. Coming to stillness. Both hands onto the ground. Start to pedal through those legs, so start to straighten up through one leg and the other. Trying to keep that connection of the chest and the thigh on the bent leg. Again, the blocks are there for you if you need them. Coming back to bent legs. Coming into our halfway lift, just taking our feet, either toes touching heels apart or at hips width distance, toes facing straight forward. Halfway lift, big inhale, keeping those knees bent, taking the hands to the shins. Now just quickly check how straight my back is. So many times I see people like this staring at their shins. We want to be staring at the ground in front of our toes. We want our weight in the toes, and we want this core so engaged so it's pulling into that spine. And your shoulders are drawing into one another, your shoulder blades are drawing into one another. Your neck is nice and straight. Exhale, fold all the way down. If you didn't have your toes together, take them together now, heels apart. Big inhale, come into that halfway lift again, resting the hands onto the shins, pulling those shoulder blades together. Taking the weight into the toes, keeping a nice straight back. Exhale all the way down. Inhale super slowly, rolling through every vertebrae, head being the last thing to come up. All the way up, rolling those shoulders up and away. Rolling those around, up to the ears and down. Taking it in the other direction, really nice. Coming to the top of our mat, just walking there. Taking the toes together, heels apart. Inhale, hands up, gaze up. Exhale, bend those knees a lot, come into your forward fold. Stepping the left leg straight back into your low lunge. Now your knee can be up or your knee can be down. We've already been here before. Plant the right hand on your block or on the mat. Big inhale, take that right hand all the way up. Coming down to your knee if you're not already. Untucking those toes, taking that hand all the way back. At the same time, spinning to the outside of that right foot, dropping that knee to the outside. Gazing back. Inhale, hand all the way up and over, straightening through that front leg, coming into those half splits. Inhale all the way forward, up and over again, hand to the back, outside of that right foot, knee drops out to the side. Inhale, up and over, coming into the half splits. One more time, weight forward, outside of that right foot, knee drops out. Now this time, if you can pick up this left leg and start to take that foot towards the hand, great. If it only just about touches and you're really using that hamstring to do the work, that is amazing because you will get there and that is still doing such an amazing job for your legs, for your hamstrings. If you can grab hold of that foot, draw that foot towards your glutes, keeping that chest open, still rocking onto the outside of that right foot, dropping that knee out. Now really importantly, make sure you're pushing through that left hand so you're keeping nice and lifted. Keep breathing. Exhale, release all the way down, coming back into your low lunge, tucking that left toe, taking that left foot straight behind the right so you're in your crossed forward fold, folding here. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Uncrossing those feet, toes touching heels apart. Roll all the way up to standing. Inhale, hands up, gaze up. Exhale, all the way down, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Stepping this right foot straight back now for your low lunge. Making sure you've got that alignment, knee and ankle. Planting the right hand down, whether it's on your block or the ground. Big inhale, left hand all the way up. Keeping the shoulder blades drawing towards one another. Make sure that back leg, if the knee is off of the ground, is doing so much work that energy is drawing through the heel. Taking the knee down, untucking those toes. Taking that left hand back, coming onto the outside edge of that foot, knee dropping out to the side, take that gaze back. Exhale, hand comes up and over, starting to take that weight back to your half splits. Inhale, come all the way forward, hand goes back, knee falls out to the side. Up and over, half splits. Inhale, all the way back. One more time, up and over. All the way back. Again, picking up this right leg, maybe it reaches, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're just working on picking it up and down, working that hamstring. If you do manage to grab it, take it into the glute as much as you can. Keep pushing the mat away, drawing the shoulder blades together. Remember to breathe. Exhale, slowly release. Taking the hand all the way back, picking up that knee, that right knee. Taking that right foot behind the left into your crossed forward fold. Breathing here. Uncross those feet, forward fold again, making sure the knees are bent as much as your chest rests onto them. Head is hanging. Take the feet out to the side so they're just over hips width apart and bend down again. This time grabbing our toes with our peace fingers, that is our thumb, our index finger and our middle finger, wrapping it around so that the fingers are facing down, thumb is on top. Bend those knees, chest resting onto the thighs, head is hanging. Pulling those elbows out to the side, making sure that your shoulders and your ears are away from one another, so those shoulders are drawing back down your mat. Releasing any tension from your head. Weight is in the toes. Every inhale, think about the crown growing longer to the ground. And every exhale, see if you can take that tailbone slightly higher, straightening through the legs, but not compromising that connection of your thighs and your chest. Breathing here, making sure those arms are really active, the toes are pulling into the hands are pulling into the toes. You're relaxing your face. Final inhale. Exhale, release those hands. Step all the way back, legs back. Starting to take the weight back, sweeping those legs all the way around to the front. Coming into a seated pigeon pose now, so your feet are flat on the ground, knees facing up, hands behind you. Just take that right foot over the left so that your ankle is to the outside of that left leg. Now, depending on where you are, you can take your foot further away, that left foot further away, or draw it closer to you. But what we want is to keep nice and upright. You want to keep this right knee drawing away from your face. Keep the hands planted into the ground. That right foot is flexed. Feel nice and lifted through the crown of the head. Maybe as you start to warm up, you can take this left leg closer, taking that stretch through the outer hip even deeper. Now this is amazing to do as a lot of our lifestyle is sitting down. We don't tend to stretch out the outer hip. Breathing here. Exhale, slowly take that right foot all the way back. This time we're going to floss our knees to either side. So our feet are like so. We're going to start to take our knees to one side and knees all the way over to the other side. Really slowly flossing through. Take it as slowly as you need to. But this is working on a double hip mobility, so internal and external. One way may feel easier than the other. One more time. And then coming into pigeon on the other side, so planting that right foot down, left foot up and over, ankle to the outside of that right thigh, flexing the left toes, bringing that right foot as close to the body as you need to, feeling that stretch down the outer side of that left hip. Keep pushing the mat away so you can stay nice and lifted. Remembering to breathe. Feeling that belly rising and falling. Maybe you bring that right foot closer to you to get a deeper stretch. Final inhale. Exhale, super slowly take that left foot all the way up. The final bit of alignment that I want to leave with before we start to settle down is in our warrior two. So we're going to come into a modified warrior two. So come all the way to kneeling, because we are going to be doing warrior two tomorrow. So from our kneeling, we're going to take our left leg out to the side, so it's facing the left side of the mat, and taking our right leg to the back of the mat. So we've got these hips nice and open, square hips, so both hips are facing the right side of the mat. This knee is open, so we're thinking about this inner thigh doing a lot of work. This isn't something that, again, our lifestyle allows us to do very easily. A lot of people will start to take their knee inwards to the big toe side of the foot because we have tightness. You need to draw that knee to the outside edge of the foot, so the little toe side of the foot. You're going to need to engage these glutes by tucking the pelvis ever so slightly and working through this inner groin. This is going to be really important. A lot of warrior twos tomorrow. So I want you to think about this, think about the opening, think about where the feet are placed when we come into our full warrior two. Think about those feet pulling in towards one another to keep you lifted. So take the hands out to the side, out long, just make sure they're in one long line, gazing over that front hand. Feel that opening here in our hip, in our modified warrior two. Sinking the shoulders away from the ears, nice and naturally. Final big inhale. Exhale, just switching over to the other side. So we'll take the right foot so it's facing the left side of the mat now. Left foot straight up so it's facing the front of the mat. Ankle and knee in line. Sinking so that knee and ankle are in line. We don't want to take it too far forward. Again, not the end of the world, but you just need to make sure you have quite strong quads, because our knee only likes to go forward and backward, not side to side. Keeping the hips square, so hip bones facing the side of the mat, so the right side of the mat in this case. Thinking about this knee drawing to the outside of that left foot, so that that knee you'll see is tracking through the center of the foot. Keep this glute engaged and work through that inner groin, hands all the way up. Try and find stillness here. Come back to your breath. Soften down your face. Final inhale. Exhale, come all the way out. Starting to slow down now, rolling all the way back over. Legs out in front of us. Now when we're seated, a block could be super helpful, because a lot of the times, again, when we're sat down, we end up getting these chest muscles really tight, so the fronts of the chest muscles tight because we're sitting like this, so we're not opening up. So we want to open up like this, but that takes quite a lot of effort from our backs. So you grab a block, sit on your block, And instantly that gives you a lot more space in your spine to be able to sit up tall. The same if our legs are out, if they're out in a forward fold, in a butterfly, wide leg fold, anything like that that you don't want to be rounded through the spine, you want to keep nice and lifted. So we'll be in our forward fold with our legs out long, toes flexed, absolutely bending those knees. Big inhale, feel like you're pulling the heart through to the feet. And on your exhale, ever so slightly stick out your bum, so you're tipping your pelvis forward. And you're folding from your hips, leading with your chest rather than your shoulders. If you're on your block, this is going to help you tip. And if you're not on your block, really think about this lift coming through from the tailbone all the way up through the crown of the head, so you've got a nice long line rather than a curve. And breathe here. Final inhale. Exhale, super slowly roll all the way up. Take this right foot up and over the left. Coming into a twist. Left hand to the outside of that right thigh. Right hand behind us. A big inhale, lift. Exhale, spin. Think about that chest being open. Crown of the head tall. You'll hear a lot of the same familiar cues, so you'll start to pick up on one, you start to be able to hold on to one and then add another one. Final big inhale. Exhale, come all the way back round, switching over to the other side, bending up that left leg. Right hand to the outside of the left thigh. Left hand behind, big inhale, lengthen the crown of the head taller. Exhale, spin. Exhale, come all the way back round to the front. Plant both feet to the ground, hands out long. And on your exhale, super slowly roll all the way down through every vertebrae until you're fully lying. Coming into half happy baby before our Shavasana, taking our left leg out long, bending up through our right knee, hugging the right knee into our chest. Grabbing hold of the outside of the right foot or the calf or the hamstring, flexing the right toes, drawing the soles of the foot up to the sky, drawing that knee into the armpit, so just to the outside of the chest. Keeping the right shoulder drawing into the mat as much as it can. And keeping this left leg grounded. You might want to just put your hand on top of it. That just sends that signal to the brain, to that muscle. Breathing here now, absolutely you can come into your full happy baby if that's comfortable for you. Final inhale. Exhale, slowly release all the way down, switching over to the other side, bending up that left leg. Hugging the knee into the chest, flexing the left toes, drawing the toes to the ceiling. Drawing that knee into your armpit, just outside your chest. Make sure that left shoulder is drawing to the ground. Right leg is long, grounded into the mat. Remembering to breathe. Final inhale. Exhale, slowly release all the way down into our Shavasana. So take any extra movements you feel like you need before closing the eyes down. Feet as wide or wider than the mat. Feet hanging to the side, hands away from the body, palms facing up. Allowing the shoulders to roll away from the chest and down. Taking the tongue away from the roof of the mouth to release any tension in the jaw. Feel that belly as soft as the start, rising and falling. Feeling the whole of the body feel heavier and heavier into the ground. Starting to bring some movement back into our bodies, wiggling the toes, wiggling the fingers. Big stretch, taking the toes and fingers as far away from one another as possible. Bending up through the knees, rolling over to whatever side feels comfortable, using that bicep as a pillow. And start to push yourself all the way up to seated. Eyes still closed, head being the last thing to come up. Resting the hands onto the thighs, palms facing up. Sitting on a block if you need that extra space. Trying to work that into your habit. Feeling the chest rise, belly rise, and falling on your exhale. Coming into 3 rounds of inhales and really big sigh exhales. Taking the hands to heart center, bowing the chin to the chest, thumbs to the third eye. If you've got any questions about any of the alignment or you want to check something in your own body, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you so much for joining and starting this journey together. Take the hands away from the eyes whenever you're ready and blink the eyes open back into your day.